I'll take your money, but I gotta tell you something. You got to be the biggest pussy I've ever seen. You didn't even try. How does that feel? Three O'Clock High, to me, is like one of the most underrated teen movies of the 80s, because you think of teen movies in the 80s, you think The Breakfast Club and 16 Candles, like a lot of the John Hughes joints, you know what I'm saying? But 3 O'Clock High is never really mentioned. But I think 3 O'Clock High has aged a lot better than a lot of those teen movies of the 80s, because it just has a very quick pace. It gets right to the fucking point. No fat needs to be trimmed off. It just gets right to it. Jerry Mitchell, the actor that plays him, oh my God, I can never pronounce his last name, but I remember him from Young Guns, and he was in a few other movies. But yeah, Jerry's having a bad fucking day. He's just a typical teen. You know, he rushes to go to school, takes the wrong car, microwaves his clothes. He's in charge of the school store, very bright student, but he has the daunting task of interviewing the new kid in school, Buddy Revell, who has a reputation of being not only a bully, but a killer, okay? And he has the job to interview him. And word around school is that Buddy does not like to be touched. Jerry did not get that memo. By the way, before I get into the rest of this, I'm sorry. I am being joined by my man, Mike, from the Z Review, or I'm sorry, Did You Z That? The Z Review was a former name, now is Did You Z That? So Mike is going to be joining me in a few minutes, and I can't wait to get to his thoughts, but yeah. 3 O'Clock High, Jerry has to interview Buddy Revell, and he didn't get the memo that Buddy doesn't like to be touched. So in a very awkward conversation in the bathroom where he talks to him at the stall, I don't know why he did that. Buddy is cool, minding his own business. I can't even call Buddy a villain in this movie. I can't, because Buddy was minding his own business. He was just taking a piss, not bothering nobody. Jerry steps to him, touches him. Oh, why did he do that? Jacks him up. It pissed me off, Jerry. You can take that little piece of yours and wipe your dick with it. It made me mad. Now I have to work it off. Me and you were going to have a fight in the parking lot at 3 o'clock. At least he gave him the honor of fighting after school at 3 o'clock, because nowadays kids don't give a fuck. My daughter's in high school, and that shit's like fucking Eastside High where she goes to school at, okay? There's fights every fucking day for no reason. On campus, off campus, on top of the roof, whatever, you know what I'm saying? These kids don't give a fuck. But at least he gave him the decency to say, okay, after school at 3 o'clock, me and you were going to have a fight. Okay. Jerry's like, dude, I can't beat you, man. Like, what the hell? It doesn't matter. We're going to fight, all right? And so the rest of the movie is Jerry trying to get out of this fight, from bribing people to breaking into the school store, stealing money, practically getting on his knees and begging Buddy not to whoop his ass, even as far as trying to get him expelled and suspended. Okay, so I love the tension. I love the suspense in this movie, how Jerry tries to get out of this fight, but it's inevitable this fight is going to happen. So before I get into the rest of my thoughts about 3 O'Clock High, I want to give the mic to Mike from Did You See That? Mike, tell me, what did you think about 3 O'Clock High?
Rashad, my man, what is going on? Thank you so much for once again having me back onto the channel, and I'm sorry if my voice sounds a little bit different. As of this video right now, I'm not very well. Just thank you for the time for inviting me to your channel to talk about 3 O'Clock High that came in 1987, which is crazy because I've actually never seen this movie before, but I've seen a movie that is pretty much a replica of this called Fist Fight, which came out a couple of years ago, starring Charlie Day and Ice Cube, and the plot of this movie is essentially the same as that. Now, the director of this is actually Phil Jones. Phil Jones' career didn't really do a lot. He did like some TV work and kind of some like minor films, but I'd say the only other bigger film that I know of his after this movie was made is Gridiron Gang, years later, starring The Rock in the very early years of his movie career. We've got the leads here of Casey Siemaszko, if I pronounce that correctly, who actually plays 3D in the Back to the Future movies, which is awesome because I didn't actually recognize him, and then when I checked the filmography, I was like, oh crap, yeah. And we've also got Richard Tyson as Buddy Revell, and you may know him appearing also in Kindergarten Cop, a classic underrated Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. 3 O'Clock High for me was really intriguing and also far superior than fist fight from a couple of years ago, because this story itself I was actually invested in. I was interested how our main actor Casey, who plays a character called Jerry, was going to transcend into this fight and how he was going to approach the fight or how he was going to get out of it, because Buddy Revell is kind of built up throughout this movie as this kind of intimidating force. You don't touch him. He's a kind of a force to be reckoned with, and you don't get on his bad side at all, or even talk to the guy, according to like previous rumors going around the full school from his previous schools he's been to. I love the kind of contrast between our nerdy character and how throughout the film he's still a nerdy character right until maybe say the last 20 minutes, and then just kind of this force to be reckoned with Buddy Revell, and kind of the two coming together in the contrast and how the fight kind of starts with. I really appreciate the fact that Buddy Revell's character is intimidating. Richard Tyson really brings like a menacing presence to in the screen, and his character and how he was built, especially for this movie, straight away you're going to think, I'm not stepping near that guy unless I want my lights knocked out, which I don't. Not saying that I would be a full-on Jerry Mitchell in my life. I maybe had like one fight. Yeah, I actually really enjoyed this movie. I felt like it was just a fun 80s nostalgic trip, and the soundtrack really adds to that, because I felt like the soundtrack worked for this movie and that timepiece. But at the same time, that kind of timepiece is to be reveled in, because we don't get movies like in the 80s and 90s that we do nowadays. Nowadays, unfortunately, a lot of movies appear kind of like generic for what they are, but movies like in the 80s and 90s, so many people remembered them, and a lot of companies are still making t-shirts based on those movies, or 4K renditions of those movies. I love the performances in this movie. The only kind of gripes I would give 3 O'Clock High, if I have to really give any, I would say with Buddy Revell's character, in terms of the rumours that go around in the school and about his past histories, I would have liked to actually see maybe like 1 or 2 flashbacks, or give a little bit more story time to Buddy Revell's character and how he became this kind of like presence as he is now. Was he always like a big, bold, scary guy, or was he actually kind of like a nerd at one point, and through kind of some traumatic experiences then became this kind of like bully, big henched guy that he is now? We don't really get like an exploration of that, which I would have personally liked to see even just in a very quick 5-minute flashback scene. But at the same time, even without that, he still comes across as a menacing threat. So overall, Rashad, man, I actually really enjoyed this movie, and thank you so much for putting me onto it. I would far rather go back and watch this movie than the fist fight that was originally made a couple of years ago, because firstly, these two are just students going at it. In the newer movie, it's 2 teachers, but then also one of the teachers' wives is pregnant, so surely that would be the priority over like anything, but they kind of get that really mixed up, and I feel like they're trying to capture the magic of this 80s, well, underrated classic, I would say, because this movie, I actually never even heard of it until Rashad mentioned it. I watched it and I was like, well, this plot line seems very familiar, and obviously I know why, so I was making Rashad afterwards. And yeah, I really recommend actually checking out this movie for yourself. So with that in mind, Rashad, thank you so much for having me back on your channel. It's been a little while since we've done one of these, but I really had a blast checking out this movie for the first ever time, and I certainly will be going back to revisit it again. And with all that in mind, my man, I'm going to hand it straight back over to you and your remaining thoughts on 3 O'Clock High.
My man, once again, you know what? I've yet to steer you wrong. I've yet to give you a movie to watch where you did not enjoy, maybe Rocky 5. But I told you I was going to like Rocky 5. If I say something's going to be good, most times it's going to be good, goddammit. So yes, like I said, this is a very underrated 80s teen movie, man. This movie is not talked about like the other ones. I guess because John Hughes is such a household name. Who directed this goddamn movie? Rashad, how can you be a critic and you don't know the directors? Shut up. Shit. Y'all motherfuckers in the comments always got some bullshit to say. Man, thick my bick. But anyways, the director did a great job at the pacing here, because he must have known that the main audience are kids, are teenagers, you know, youths. And we had the attention spans of Cocker Spaniels when we were kids, you know. So the fact this movie is so well paced, you never lose interest, you never get bored. So, okay, let's get to the inevitable, the fight. The fight happens, and no, it's not the best cinematic fight you'll ever see, but it's just the story of the fight. See, sometimes a fight can be mediocre, but if the fight has a good story, who cares? For example, Andre the Giant Hulk Hogan WrestleMania. Boring ass match, okay, except for when Hogan slammed him. But the story that led up to the match made the match that much more exciting. So of course they fight. Buddy kind of gets the best of him. Jerry comes out on top with some brass knuckles. But I tell you what, the scene that really the scene I liked the most was the very last scene. I mean, not the very last scene, but the last time that Jerry tries to beg Buddy not to beat him up. Like, man, listen, I can't beat you, man. Look, if I pay you, will you leave me alone? And he's like, you know, so you're going to pay me this money. No strings attached. No, nothing. Just take the money. Just leave me alone. He says, all right, I'll take your money. But I got to tell you something. You got to be the biggest pussy I've ever seen. You didn't even try. How does that feel? Like, you felt that. You feel like he was totally disgusted. Like, you didn't even try to fight. How does it feel being a pussy? Like, I wouldn't want to be you. And Jerry had a reflection moment. He had to stick his chest out, cuff his nuts. Nah, fuck that. I don't care. If he's gonna take me, he's gonna take me out. We fighting. That's old school. That's old school sandbox fighting 101. Even if you know you can't beat the guy, you can't back down, or else everybody will clown you forever. You have to stand up. You have to take that ass whooping. But look, I'm gonna stand on my feet as a man. I'm taking this ass whooping. But Jerry came out on top, got the girl, kept his job at the school store, lived happily ever after. Shout out to Buddy though. But you know what? Like I said, I can't make Buddy like he wasn't a villain. Okay, if anything, Jerry was kind of the villain because Jerry fucked with him first. Okay, Buddy was just really defending himself. Okay, Buddy wasn't really a villain. Buddy kept to himself, man. Even the guy that Jerry paid off to fight Buddy. Buddy's reading a book. He's in the library minding his own business. This dude like, yo, leave Jerry alone. What did he do? He defended himself. He knocked some teeth out of his mouth. Shh. Rest my case. Anyways, not to keep you out long, 3 o'clock high gets an A in my book. Very funny movie. Very good pace. Good performances overall. You know what I'm saying? And that's it and that's all. Mike, thank you for joining me in this review, bro. Link in the, okay, I can't even talk. Link in the description to his channel. Did you see that? Check him out. He talks Back to the Future. He talks movies. Has a lot of dope-ass interviews with filmmakers, writers, and whatnot. Check him out. Mike, did you see that? All right, if you like and dig this content, hit that like and subscribe notification bell in the corner. What did you guys think about 3 o'clock high? Comment freely below. I can't talk today. I'm sorry. This is Rashad G signing out. See you in the next video.